What's up, Panda? It's Peter from Panda here. Hey, just bought myself a pair of backup iron sights. These are from Blob Outdoors. They are technically in FDE. They may look a little olive drab on the screen, but I assure you that I ordered the FDE and I will compare them to some other FDE colors. But I wanted to show you these because I just, if you saw my earlier review, I bought some polymer backup iron sights for a build that I was finishing up and wasn't happy with them. As you know, the rear aperture and the front post didn't line up. And no matter what I did, I couldn't even get them kind of in the ballpark. So I just returned them, never mounted them. But I thought I'd go order these because I've ordered Green Blob and owned Green Blob sights in the past, iron sights in particular, that have done pretty well. So I've been fairly happy with them. And I thought I'd kind of give you a quick overview of these and then put them on the rifle and show you what they look like. So first of all, they are painted. They are aluminum, I believe, and they are painted. I don't know if this is powder coating. I kind of suspect that it's not, but it has a little bit of a shiny finish, as you can see. Not more the matte finish that you'll get on a lot of other FDE finished products, but that's okay. One of the things that I probably would have preferred on some of the other Green Blob sights, this base has kind of an angled front edge, a beveled front edge, which makes it a little sleeker, helps it prevent it from snagging on things if you're putting it in and out of a bag or a scabbard or something like that. Again, not a huge deal, but I kind of like that sleeker look, and it takes away some material, so they tend to be a little lighter. But you know, these are fairly heavy, and the painted finish is a little rough in some places. In this recessed area, you can see the little air bubbles. They don't seem to be popping or scraping off. You know, it is what it is. The hardware here is black, and the way they work is they are pop-up sights, but they don't lock into place on the lower end. They also don't have any spring tension. So you can see there, it looks like they're kind of two ball bearing detents. There's a little bit of a notch on the bottom. So when you pull them down, when you pull the sight down, let me make sure I can do that. Is it hanging up on? Oh, it's just a little tight. Pull it down, those ball bearings fall in place. So hopefully on recoil, you're not going to have this riding up. But to flip them up, you actually have to grab it and push it up. There's nothing to press in. This little post here, which is spring-loaded, ejects in the inner, the thicker portion of the post will fall into a little slot there and lock it into place. So it's not going to come down without pressing this in and then pulling it back down. Again, nothing's holding it back here. You can just push it up on your own. And when they are up, this is the side profile, the rear aperture, and here is what's kind of interesting too, is that they're not 180 degree opposed, but there's probably like 160 degrees in between the two. So the cool thing about this is, regardless of which rear opening you have chosen, push this in and pull back down, it should lie flat or flat-ish to the rail. Now you may not, because this does stick out just a little bit, you may not get this all the way down, but that's okay. In some cases, because these are 90 degrees, what you would have is this rear aperture open, and you would be able to get it, you can't get it to lay flat, or you always have to switch to the different opening. In this case, I like the smaller peep sight, so it's probably not going to be an issue, but sometimes these are reversed. This knob here to move your opening for windage left and right works pretty nicely. There's some pretty significant clicks at each turn, just kind of maybe a fifth or a quarter turn. And it does move back and forth. You can see that there's a line here to line it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it centered right now. It's in pretty good shape, I think. On the front post sight, again, this operates the same way. A couple of ball bearing detents there, it looks like, and then just pushes up and then snaps into place. You have to push this in to move it back down. The post here is adjustable by pushing down the detent there and turning it. So you're gonna have to use the tip of a bullet or something like that, or a paper clip or some tool to be able to do that. You're not gonna be able to do it by hand, and that should raise the post up and down. What I've noticed here, and I will show you when, I'll actually put them backwards on the gun or back to back. So if you notice that you put these together like this, they're almost lined up. The post and the opening and the aperture are pretty well even to begin with, which is my issue with the first one, is that even at the post at its highest level was way below the rear opening. So right off the bat, at least, hopefully they will look even to the gun. Now you'll have to do some adjustment there. The other thing I liked about this is that because you've got these kind of rounded housing up at the top as opposed to the more diamond angled shape, is I've heard some criticism that when they're the sharp angled shape and these two posts kind of come in really to a narrow point here, you can't get a tool in there very easily to change this. So I just wanted this to be more open. I'm not necessarily a big fan of how wide this can be and, you know, could snag on things, but knowing that some people have complained about how hard it is to adjust it, especially in the field with the narrower outer frames here, that could be a problem. So let's go ahead. I'm going to put them on the rifle and just show you a little tour around. So I know this may look a little odd, but this is where we're going to start. So I went ahead, you're going to need an Allen key, obviously, to put these on your rifle. This rifle has been safety checked. I am not going to show it to you, so live with it. The FDE color here is pretty close. It's kind of like a wet clay versus dry clay to kind of that typical FDE color. But I've got them mounted back to back and backwards, at least on the front post, just to show you that it might be a little hard to see that at least the post and the aperture line up with each other out of the box. Again, let's see if I can, this may be kind of silly, but you can see that at least I'm getting a nice parallel view. They are lined up with each other. So the good news is right out of the gate, at least they should line up and function in sight correctly. The other backup iron sights that I showed you before didn't even get nearly to this good a position out of the, you know, after a bunch of fooling with it. This right out of the box is lined up, so that's good. So now let's go ahead and put these on the right. So I have my green blobs mounted on here, at least tentatively. Front sight in the front, and as you can see, up and down, that lays nice and flat. Again, there's nothing holding it in place. You just throw it up. And then the back one I've got on here too, and again, it's pretty far behind this NC Star red dot, and I have the small aperture in that position. Doesn't lay, you know, it's being pushed flush to the rail, but it lays right there, which is pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with that. That's not bad. And then we'll go ahead and push this up here, and I want to show you that it does co-witness pretty well with my red dot as of right this second. Again, safety check, but I'm not going to show you. And then I'm going to apologize for the low quality video, but I do have the red dot turned on. Nothing on this gun is that this gun's never actually been fired, and so nothing's been zeroed in. And I just threw on these backup irons, but you can see the iron sights should co-witness pretty well. I've got it lined up with the front post there, and I just have the NC Star red dot lined up with however it comes right out of the box, and both of them suggest that we're pretty close to being zeroed. So either the red dot or the iron sights will need to be zeroed in, or both, but you'll have no problems co-witnessing, at least with this one, which is this one, the cantilevered one, again in FDE. So overall, pretty happy with this little setup. Gives me everything I need to run and gun with this one, and should be a nice little pistol to try out. So Peter Von Panda for the green Blob, backup aluminum iron sights for your AR, standard pick rail, out.